Oh, come on, this happens every Tuesday! Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm sure he needs no introduction. He has a massive library of games, and we've got games for the sporty type, we've got some for the racing lovers, and we got some for the regular. We can go on and on about the different games Sonic has, but you know the question arises from time to time. What is the best Sonic game? Let's try Sonic the Hedgehog. No. Sonic the Hedgehog had laid the foundation of what was possible. It pushed the Sega Genesis to its limits with the ability to go faster than the level can keep up. This was a game built specifically to show off the Genesis. The Super Nintendo couldn't do that, but even though this was ambitious, it was also kind of basic. The game is good, no doubt about that, but every time I play this, I feel a sense of, well, that was an uninteresting 5 minutes. The game overall feels stiff and lacking in content, but why do today what you can put off until tomorrow? Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is an amazing game without a doubt. It was developed in a year and the game adds a lot of content and fixed the issues from the first game. It's easy to say that this is the perfect follow-up to any game, but how and why? Do you think I would know the question to that answer? Sonic the Hedgehog 2 released in November 1992, which is an incredible amount of time for any game to be developed. That might sound like a bad thing, but trust me, it's not. These games are very similar to each other gameplay-wise, but even though I had trouble finishing a word search in 2 years, this is impressive no matter what. The game actually starts very similar to the first game. We get the title screen, and then we're in a grassy area. I told you I would touch grass someday. Now, the controls were refined, and it feels a lot better. That, and with the ability to spin dash now, it feels so satisfying to play. There are a total of 11 zones in this game, which all have unique environments that we get to run around in, and the level design in combination with the controls and gameplay makes it really addicting to play. Even with Chemical Plant Zone being the one level I hate in the entire Sonic series, I still find it really fun. But on the other hand, we have more additions than just new environments. Tails is our pride and joy, don't take that away from us. He acts like a supporting character, either helping out every once in a while, looking absolutely adorable with his early designs, or being player 2. He is more like an easy mode type character. You get to fly around and don't die when playing as him. Our next item on the shopping list, however, is the addition of a brand new redesign to the special stages. Instead of how it was before, going into the big ring at the end and going through an endless maze, they made it a pseudo 3D type level this time around with an actual goal to meet instead of whatever that is. This game goes way above my expectations. My first experience with Sonic the Hedgehog 2 had been ages ago, back to the Stone Age. I know, I'm a fossil. I remember when Sonic 2 was first on the App Store and I used to pay for it. This is commonly referred to as the Christian Whitehead version. The Genesis version of Sonic 2 was originally developed by STI while Sega Japan was working on Sonic CD. Then in 2013, the game got ported to iOS with various enhancements to it. This and the 3DS version are the ones I'm most familiar with, but after seeing a genuine Sonic 2 card at a flea market, I thought it's time to experience Sonic 2 how God intended. 3 years later. I never really had a Sega Genesis before, so it was kind of awkward to play a Sonic 2 Genesis cart without a Genesis. But what else is there to lose? Lying about everything. But to be honest, the iOS version and the original Genesis version are more similar than you would expect. Overall, the game is really polished and the gameplay is kind of addicting. Emerald Hill Zone might just seem like another green hill, but it's so much more. This is an excellent beginning level for a sequel. It favors both experienced players and newcomers, offering the same path style like before, with upper paths for more experienced who wants to speed through the level, and the bottom for people like me where I keep missing the path on top and I just say, okay, and move on with disappointment. And with the controls being retooled for a better feel, this game is so much better to play than before. But one major change was that the zones are a bit shorter, only having 2 levels this time around, which feels like the perfect amount. Every game since this one had used the 2 level per zone rule. Chemical Plant Zone and Aquatic Ruin Zone both make my blood boil. You want to talk about these newer games and their difficulty? Take a spin at Sonic 2's levels and then come back to me. Chemical Plant Zone was fun, but it also feels like a chaotic mess. We go left, right, submerged in water, back out of water, and finally fearing for my life on top of moving platforms. And even though the experience with this was rough, it was still fun. But Aquatic Ruin Zone was just a Chemical Plant Zone copy with less confusion. But even though the friendship between me and these levels haven't been the best, this is a nice test for your skill. Ramping up the difficulty like that separates the boys from the men. And for the rest of the game though, it kind of stays the same. The game doesn't have any more difficulty to it, but for the majority of the levels up until the final zone, it doesn't really get harder, just more complex. I have a few theories. Firstly, STD wanted to show that we can make a good but challenging game along with adding content that fits inside the Sonic universe. And secondly, Ibuprofen funded this project. I mean, getting a headache from this game is not a new thing to happen, so I feel like I need these. But there was only one problem. I have never been Profen. So how did I experience Sonic 2? Sometimes I would play the game as God intended, but most of my time was spent just goofing around. Like I said, the iOS version was the way I experienced Sonic 2, so I found a debug cheat code and started to mess around with the levels or just to unlock Super Sonic early. But some of the other levels like Casino Night Zone was the best stage out of any. This is where we get unlimited rings. I'm pretty sure that everyone's gambling addiction started here because it was a risk if you were going to get a bunch of rings or just lose them all. But Oil Ocean Zone and Metropolis Zone were kind of just extra levels that I didn't really care too much for. Sonic Mania ruined me on Oil Ocean. I haven't been able to visit Metropolis often. And each zone has a boss. The one you would fight would always be Dr. Eggman, but each time you need to think outside the box on how to win. Most of the time you can find an easy way out, but these are some of the more unique fights in the 2D Sonic series. But even though I've seen these so many times, they never get old or predictable. But if the game ever gets too hard, you can turn your focus to the special stages and unlocks the secret new character being Super Sonic. This is an insanely powerful and invincible version of Sonic that needs 50 rings to activate, and having this makes the levels way easier to play. He's extremely fast and can't take any damage and looks super cool. No matter what way someone plays Sonic 2, this game is definitely a blast to play. Sure, the original Sonic 2 might be a little bit buggy at times, but this offers a lot to the table and improves a lot from the first game. I don't know about you, but this will and always be my favorite Sonic game from the 2D era. I mean, I do say that a lot about games like Sonic Generations, for example, but every once in a while I get a little bit crazy and I feel like trying something out for a change. Oh, no, not this. I think I have a problem.